Hi, this is Sarah from Sarah's Hooks and Loops and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can crochet your very own little Rudolph. In this video you will find the full tutorial on how to make your own little Rudolph, but before we get started, let's go through the materials that you will need. I use Ricorumi's Cotton DK yarn, but you can use any yarn of your own choice. Let's go through the colours that I've used. Beige yarn, white, brown, blue, green, yellow, pink, red and gold. You're also going to need a 2.25mm hook, some embroidery thread for the eyes, some pins, a stitch marker and a tapestry needle, a pair of scissors and some toy stuffing. Okay, let's make a start on our Rudolph. First off, we'll start with making the head. And for this part, you'll need the beige yarn. To start off, we need to make a magic ring. And into the magic ring, we'll make 6 single crochet for round 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and close the magic ring. And this completes round 1. For round 2, we'll make an increase in each of the 6 stitches from round 1. This will give you 12 stitches for round 2. For round 3, we will make a sequence of 1 single crochet and an increase 6 times in the round to create 18 stitches. So we'll do 1 single crochet and an increase, and repeat this sequence all the way around until you've got 18 stitches. At the end of round 3, you should have 18 stitches in your round. For round 4, we'll make a sequence of 2 single crochet and 1 increase 6 times around the round to create 24 stitches. There's 1, 2, and an increase, and mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. And repeat this sequence all the way around until you've reached 24 stitches. At the end of round 4, you should have 24 stitches in your round. In round 5, we will make 3 single crochet and an increase and repeat the sequence 6 times all the way around to make 30 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. And mark your first stitch. Repeat the sequence until the end. At the end of round 5, you will have 30 stitches in your round. For round 6, we will make 4 single crochet and an increase and repeat the sequence 6 times all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and an increase. And mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Repeat the sequence all the way around. At the end of round 6, you should have 36 stitches in your round. For round 7, we'll make a sequence of 5 single crochet and an increase, and repeat that sequence 6 times all the way around. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an increase in the next one. And pause to insert your stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And repeat that sequence all the way around. At the end of round 7, you will have 42 stitches in your round. For round 8, we will make 6 single crochet and an increase, and repeat the sequence 6 times all the way around. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and an increase. And mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And repeat that sequence all the way around. At the end of round 8, you will have 48 stitches in your round. For round 9, we will make 7 single crochet and an increase, and repeat the sequence 6 times all the way around. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, an increase, and mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And repeat that sequence all the way around. At the end of round 9, you will have 54 stitches in your round. Now we're going to make rounds 10 to 18. That's 9 rounds of 54 single crochet. This will make the main part of the head before we change over to white. So let's make a start. 1, 2, 3. Mark your first stitch. And continue making single crochets in the round, and repeat that all the way up until round 18. I'll meet you at the end of round 18. Now that we have completed the 9 rounds of 54 single crochet, at the end of round 18 we're going to change the colour over to white. You can change the colour in any method that you prefer. Here's how I do mine. So in the last stitch of the round, insert your hook and pull up a loop. So you have 2 loops on your hook. And in the last step of the single crochet, you will add in the white. So loop the white over the hook and pull it through the 2 loops. And then I secure the 2 tails together by knotting them and pulling them gently, and again. There are lots of different methods out there. but I prefer this one. I always feel it's a bit more secure. So you're going to cut the beige off as we're finished with that one now, and just trim the other end of the white and hide those tails inside. And we have the white connected. Next we'll move on to round 19. For round 19 to 22, that's 4 rounds, we'll make 54 single crochets in the round like we did in the last 9 rounds until we start to get to our decrease rounds. So let's make a start. Two, three. Mark your first stitch and continue making your single crochets around and make 4 rounds, and I'll meet you at the end of round 22. Now we've completed the 4 rounds of 54 single crochet and white, we're going to move on to round 23. In round 23 we're going to have 9 decreases, and the sequence will be 4 single crochet, 1 decrease, 9 times all the way around the round. So let's start with the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and an invisible decrease. And mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Repeat that sequence all the way around until you finish at the end. At the end of round 23, you should have 45 stitches in your round. We'll now move on to round 24. For round 24, we'll make 3 single crochet and 1 decrease 9 times in the round to create 36 stitches. So that will be 1, 2, 3, and an invisible decrease. Mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. And continue that sequence all the way round. At the end of round 24, you have created 36 stitches. We will now move on to round 25. For round 25, we're going to make 4 single crochet and a decrease 6 times all the way around to create 30 stitches. We will start 1, 2, 3, 4, and an invisible decrease. Insert your stitch marker at the beginning, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And continue that sequence all the way around. At the end of round 25, you would have created 30 stitches. We are now going to pause so we can start stuffing the head. You need to make the stuffing so that it's not all popping out the top, because obviously you've got to do the last few rounds. I normally do it so I've got enough room to push my finger under the stuffing as I'm working, and then stuffing the next few rounds as I go. So as I go over the next few rounds before I close, I will continue to stuff. Now we'll move on to round 26. In round 26, we'll make 3 single crochet and 1 decrease 6 times to create 24 stitches. One, 2, 3, and an invisible decrease. And be sure to mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. And repeat this sequence all the way around. At the end of round 26, you would have created 24 stitches. Before we move on to the next round, I'm just going to top up the stuffing. Now that we have topped up the stuffing, Rudolph's head is now starting to take shape. Now we'll move on to round 27. In round 27, we will make a sequence of 2 single crochet and 1 decrease 6 times to create 18 stitches. 1, 2, and a decrease. And mark your first stitch. 1, 2, 3. And continue that sequence all the way around. At the end of round 27, you would have created 18 stitches. We'll now move on to round 28. For round 28, we'll make a sequence of 1 single crochet and 1 decrease 6 times to create 12 stitches. 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, and repeat that all the way around. At the end of round 28, you would have created 12 stitches. Before we move on to the final round, I'm just going to top up that stuffing. Because the hole is quite small, I like to use a wooden chopstick or a wooden skewer just to push in that little bit of stuffing. And just continue stuffing that until you've filled up that little gap inside. Now that we're finished topping up the stuffing, we'll move on to the final round, round 29. And in round 29, we're going to make 6 decreases, which will create 6 stitches. There's 1 decrease, 2, and continue those decreases all the way around. Now that we've finished round 29, we will fasten off and close the head. Take the yarn tail and thread it onto a tapestry needle. And you'll be picking up the front loop only of the 6 stitches in the last round. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in the front loop only, pass your needle through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. When you finish closing, gently pull the tail to close the opening and weave it in. Now that you've weaved in the tail, the head section is now complete. We'll now move on to make the ears. To make the ears, you'll need to make a magic ring. And in the magic ring, in round 1, you'll make 6 single crochet into the magic ring. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and close. And this completes round 1. For round 2, we'll make a sequence of 1 single crochet and an increase 3 times to make 9 stitches. So it'll be 1 single crochet, 1 increase, 1 single crochet, 1 increase, 1 single crochet, 1 increase. This will give you 9 stitches for round 2. For round 3, we need to make 2 single crochet and an increase 3 times to create 12 stitches. So you make 1, 2, and an increase, and repeat that 2 more times. At the end of round 3, you would have created 12 stitches in the round. For round 4, we will make 3 single crochet and an increase 3 times in the round to make 15 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, an increase, and repeat that 2 more times. At the end of round 4, you would have created 15 stitches. We'll now move on to rounds 5 to 7. For rounds 5 to 7, that's 3 rounds, we'll make 15 single crochet in each round. So there's 1, 2, 3, and place your stitch marker at the first stitch, and continue all the way around to make the 15 single crochet, and repeat that up to round 7. I'll meet you at the end of round 7. At the end of round 7, you would have created 3 rounds of 15 single crochet. We'll now move on to round 8. For round 8, we need to make 3 single crochet and 1 decrease 3 times in the round. This will make 12 stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, an invisible decrease, and repeat that 2 more times. At the end of round 8, you would have created 12 stitches. We'll now move on to round 9. For round 9, which is the final round, we need to make 6 decreases in the round. So this 1 decrease, 2 decrease, and make 4 more decreases to complete the round. Once you have completed the round, we need to fasten off and flatten the piece, and that completes the ear. Make another ear so you have a pair. Now we'll move on to make the nose. The nose is made with the red yarn. We'll work around a foundation chain this time, so we will need a long starting tail. This is used to close any gaps in the foundation chain later on. Make a slip knot on your hook and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to be starting in the second chain from the hook and making a single crochet increase. So into the second chain from the hook, make a single crochet increase. 2. And then we need to make a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1, 2, and in the last chain we will make 4 single crochet in the same chain. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm working on the other side of the chain. We will make 2 single crochet and then an increase. So there's 2 single crochet, 1, 2, and an increase. This will give you 12 stitches in the round. For round 2, which is the final round, we need to make a single crochet in each of the stitches from round 1. So we'll be making 12 single crochet in the round. Just 1, 2, 3, and keep going until you've completed 12 single crochet. Once we have completed round 2, we need to fasten off with a long tail and thread the long tail onto a tapestry needle. And we're going to be making an invisible stitch into the second stitch from where we finished. So not the first stitch, the second stitch. We take the needle through under the 2 loops. And then starting back in the stitch where we started off, go into the top of the loops. And gently pull the stitch together. And this will give you an invisible finish. It makes the edge more even. If you feel that you need to close up any gaps from the foundation chain, just use the starting tail and flip it over and just close up any gaps that you can see with the tail. Now that you've closed up any gaps around the foundation chain, we're now just going to add the white stitch to the side of the nose. Using a length of white DK yarn on a tapestry needle, we're just going to go from one side here up and over 2 stitches. So we'll come in on one side, up and over 2 stitches, and that completes the nose. Secure and weave in the tails for the white and leave the long tail for attaching. Next we're going to make the antlers. There are two parts to one antler, so we'll make two parts and we'll connect them together, and then we'll make two antlers in total. Let's make a start with a large part. For the large part, you need to make a magic ring, and we'll make 5 single crochet into the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and close. This completes round 1. For rounds 2 to 7, that's 6 rounds, in each round we'll make 5 single crochet. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And continue all the way to round 7. I'll meet you at the end of round 7. Now that we've finished round 7, we simply want to fasten off with a long tail. And normally what I like to do is just using a wooden skewer, is just to push into the antler so it just pushes it into shape. And if you prefer, you can add a little bit of stuffing just to push out the shape a little bit more. We'll now make the small part. Now we'll make the small part of the antler. The small part is near enough the same as the first part, but this time instead of doing 5 rounds of 5 single crochet, we'll just do the 2 rounds of 5 single crochet. First off, we'll make a magic ring. And we'll make 5 single crochet into the magic ring. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and close. And this completes round 1. We'll now move on to the next 2 rounds, which is 2 rounds of 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and keep going until you've completed the 2 rounds of 5 single crochet. I'll meet you at the end. Now that we've finished the last 2 rounds of 5 single crochet, we simply need to fasten off, and this completes the small part of the antler. So now we have a large and a small part which we'll need to join together. We'll now need to attach the 2 parts together, so the smaller part to the larger part. We attach the small part over rounds 3 to 4 of the larger part. So thread your tail onto a tapestry needle and join it onto the large part over rounds 3 to 4. When you've finished attaching the small part to the large part, make sure you leave the tails so you can use them for attaching. You'll need a second antler, so repeat the process again to make the second antler to make a pair. Next we will make the bauble cap. so you can hang your Rudolph on your tree. You'll need the gold yarn for this one. Okay, let's start the bauble cap. So for the bauble cap, you need to start off with a magic ring. And for round 1, you will make 6 single crochet into the magic ring. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And close. And that completes round 1. For round 2, we need to make an increase in each of the 6 single crochet we made in round 1, so we'll make 12 stitches. So that's 1, increase, 2 increases, and keep going all the way around until you've reached the end. At the end of round 2, you would have made 12 single crochet. For round 3, we need to be working into the back loop only of the round, and we'll be making 12 single crochet into the back loop. There's 1, 2, 3, and continue working into the back loop until you've completed the round. At the end of round 3, your cap will start to take shape. It's got a slight flat top, and now we've got a side. For round 4, we're simply going to make 12 single crochet in the round. There's 1, 2, 3, and continue single crochet until you've completed the round. When you finish round 4, that completes the top part of the cap. So all we need to do is fasten off with a long tail. And we're going to be making an invisible stitch on the end ear to finish. So thread the tail onto a tapestry needle. And going through the top 2 loops of the second stitch away from the single crochet where we finished. Take the needle under the loops. And insert it into the top of the stitch in which you started in. And this completes your invisible stitch. Now that we've completed the bauble cap, we now need to make the hanging string. So to do this, you'll need the gold yarn, loop it over and cut it at the length that you want. Take the tail ends and make a double knot. Trim down those tails. And get your crochet hook and insert it into the middle of the magic ring. Through to the inside, pick up the loop and pull the string through. And this completes your bauble cap and hanging string. Leave the extra tails here for attaching to the head. Now we'll move on to make the string lights. For the string lights, you'll need 4 different colours. I've got pink, blue, green and yellow. And also you'll need some white so that you can string all your lights together. First, we need to make the lights themselves before we string them onto the string. With the 4 colours that we've chosen, you need to make 2 lights in each colour. I'm going to start with the blue. So to make 1 light, you make a magic ring. And we're going to make 6 single crochet into the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then we're going to close the magic ring. And that completes 1 light. But before we finish, we need to close the round. So if we just cut the tail and fasten off. And we're going to make an invisible stitch into the first stitch, not the second stitch, so that's into the first stitch. So we just put the tail onto tapestry needle. And going into the top 2 loops of the first stitch, take your needle through and back into the top of the stitch where you started. And pull that together, and that completes the light. And then you need to just weave in both of these tails going through the back posts of each single crochet, and then trim them all off, and that will complete your light. And the lights will look like this. Make all your different colours until you've got 8 lights in total. Now that you've completed all your lights, we now need to attach them to a white string, so they'll create the string lights. You need to cut a length of yarn approximately 45 centimetres in length. And thread it onto a tapestry needle. And you will simply attach each light by going through the top 2 loops of 1 single crochet. So you'll take the needle through those top 2 loops, bring it to the first one towards the end so you've got a bit of a tail, and just simply loop the yarn over the top of that single crochet stitch. And just tighten that up, and that's the first one attached. You need to repeat that process until you've attached all the lights, and leave approximately 3 centimetres between each one. Just show you that again. So you take your needle under 2 loops of a stitch, and we're going to bring that one down approximately 3 centimetres away from the first one. Loop over the stitch. And then you've attached your second one. And repeat that until you've finished all your lights. And when we've finished, I'll go through how we finish this part here so it secures the ends. Okay, I've just finished attaching my last light, and you'll notice you'll have a long tail at the end. And what you need to do to secure the two ended lights, you just loop the stitch over again, almost double looping over the stitch. And then simply what you need to do is just weave those tails into the back posts of the light. And once you've weaved it in, just trim the ends and repeat it on the other end too. So double over that stitch, weave it into the back posts and trim the tails. Now that you've weaved in the tail ends, your string lights are now complete. Now we've completed all the parts for Rudolph, it's now time to put him together and also embroider his eyes. Just as a last check, you should have one head, two antlers, one bauble cap, one nose, two ears, and some string lights, all ready to put him together. We'll start off by marking the position of the eyes and the white flecks on the head. First, we'll start with the eyes. The eyes are made in round 17 of the head. So we need to position the pins in round 17. So we'll start from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and place the first pin. Place the second pin 4 stitches to one side, 1, 2, 3, 4, making sure it's in the same round. And for the arch of the eye, it's one round up and equal between those two pins that we've already placed. And for the eyelashes, we go 1 stitch across and up. So we're placing it just up from that pin there. And for the second eyelash, it's 1 round up from this pin. Your eye positioning for one side will look like this. The second side, which is 8 stitches across from this pin here, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Place that pin. And repeat this process on the opposite side, making sure it's symmetrical to the other. So it's 4 pins across from this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. The arch is 1 round up and central. For the eyelash, 1 stitch across and up. And for the second eyelash, it's above this pin here. So that completes the positioning of the eye embroidery. We'll now mark the position of the white flecks on the forehead. The white flecks are made over rounds 14 to 10. And what we need to do first is find the central position between the eyes for the first pin. And in essence, you're making a V shape with 1 extra fleck in the middle. So if we'll start off with the first pin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and find the central distance between the eyes. The next pin is placed 2 rounds up, and there's 4 stitches apart between these 2 pins. 1, 2, 3, 4. And for the third row, 2 rounds up, and there's 8 stitches between these 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It creates a V shape. And then find the central point on the top row for the last one. And that completes the markings for the white flecks. Now it's time to make the embroidery itself. We'll start off with the eyes. For the eyes, you'll need black embroidery thread, threaded onto a tapestry needle. Insert your needle in the side of the head or wherever you prefer, at the bottom. I prefer to use the side of the head. And we're going to bring the needle out at the first pin and make a stitch into the second pin here. So from the first over to the second. And leave a tail for later when we want to secure the tails after we've finished. So make a stitch into this second pin here, and you want to bring it out to this pin in the middle. Okay, and before you pull it tight, just loop the thread underneath the eye there. And pull it gently, and then take your needle back into the same point, and you want to bring it out to the first eyelash pin. And gently pull up the eye. To make the eyelashes, you just take the thread into the end of the arch of the eye and bring it out into the other pin area. And take it back in here and bring it out on the other side so you can make the other eye. And that completes one eye. Repeat the process for the second eye. Now that you've completed both eyes, you need to secure the tails on the side. Tie them together and trim the tails. And gently pull the tail through inside the head. And use the tip of your needle just to close any gaps you may have created. And that completes the eyes. Now we'll move on to the flecks. To make the white flecks on the head, we need to use a white DK yarn. So take a long length of yarn and thread it onto a tapestry needle and insert it into the side of the head, and we'll come out at the first pin here. And leave a bit of a tail for when we want to secure the tails later. The flecks are only one stitch high, so just make a stitch going in an upward direction. So this one would be up at the top here, and take it in to the next pin. And that completes the first fleck. You can keep repeating this process until you've completed all of the flecks on the head. For the last one, you need to take the tail out to the side of where you started, so you meet up with the first tail. And that completes the white flecks on the head. Secure and hide the tails. Now that all the embroidery is complete, we'll now attach all the parts to finish our Rudolph. The first part we'll attach is the nose. The nose is positioned over rounds 20 to 17, centrally between the eyes. So we'll pin it in place first. You just make sure that it's aligned with the top of the eyes here. And once you've pinned it in place and you're happy with the position, use a tail end to attach the nose. But before you close the nose off completely, you can add a small amount of stuffing just to bring the nose out a little bit. Let's attach the nose. Now that we're coming to the end of attaching the nose, I've left a little bit of a gap here. And I'm just going to add a very small amount of stuffing inside the nose. So take a small amount and use a small wooden skewer and just push a small amount of stuffing inside the nose. This just helps to give the nose a little bit more shape and roundness. And then we can go ahead and finish off attaching the nose. And that's the nose complete. Secure and weave in your tail. Next, we'll attach the bauble cap. The bauble cap is attached over the magic ring and round 2. So all we need to do is just pin it in position centrally over the top. Just check that you're happy that it's sitting central, and then go ahead and attach the bauble cap to the head. And as we did with the nose, before you close up, just add a little bit of stuffing inside just to keep its shape. As I'm coming to the end of attaching my bauble cap, before I finish, I've left a little opening just to stuff a little bit of stuffing inside, just to keep its shape. Take a little piece of stuffing and use your skewer just to push it in. And once you're happy, go ahead and finish closing this gap. Now that you have finished attaching the cap, just go ahead and secure and weave in those tails. Now we'll attach the ears. The ears are attached over rounds 9 and 10 of the head, equally on each side. As we've got the bauble cap in place, it's difficult to count from the top, so I've used the eyes as a guide to put in the position of my pins. So going from the edge of the eyelash here, I counted over 5 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 stitches up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and placed my first pin. I placed the second pin directly above it 2 rounds up, and repeated the process on the opposite side. Once the pins were in place, check that they're equal on each side, and then we can go ahead and attach the ears. Now that you've attached the ears, you can go ahead and secure and weave in the tails. We will now attach the antlers to the head. The antlers are positioned equally between the ear and the bauble cap on each side of the head. I've marked mine out already over 2 rounds. Mark out the position of your antlers, and when you're happy with it, go ahead and attach the antlers. When attaching the antlers, make sure that the small part is attached pointing inwards. When we have finished attaching all the parts to our Rudolph, there's one last thing we need to do, and that's to add his lights. Take the string lights and drape them over his ears and antlers, making sure the string goes behind the bauble cap. When you're happy with the position, if you'd like the strings to be a bit more secure, you can add some invisible thread to the back of the antlers. Once you've done that, your Rudolph is all ready to hang on your tree. I hope you enjoyed making him today, and thank you for joining me, and see you again soon.